Sita found. In the tree, Hanuman considered what to do next. He wanted to comfort Sita and give her Rama's ring, but he was not sure how to approach her. She would likely think him to be Ravana in disguise, using sorcery to trick her. She might cry out and alert the Rakshasas. What then? He could be killed or captured. How would Rama's purpose be served if that happened? What other monkey could leap across the ocean and return? Hanuman thought carefully. He decided to remain in the tree and sing praises of Ram so that Sita could hear. The Rakshasas has moved away to a distance and would not notice. Hanuman started to speak out aloud. In the city of Ayodhya, there lived a great ruler named Dasarath. That lordly king begot a valiant son named Ram, who possesses every good quality. Going to the forest in obedience to his aged and pious father, Prince Ram slayed in battle many violent demons. Hanuman related in brief Rama's history up until the time of Sita's abduction. He described what had happened to Ram in her absence since then, leading up to his own leap across the ocean and arrival in the Ashoka grove. Sita was struck with wonder to hear the voice from the tree. She looked up and all around her, feeling joy upon hearing Rama's activities described. As she gazed into the boughs of the tree, she saw among the leaves Hanuman's tawny figure. The small monkey sat humbly with his palms folded. Immediately she became afraid. Who was this creature? What was he doing in the tree? Was this Ravana's trick? But remembering the auspicious omens, Sita became thoughtful. She prayed to the gods that Hanuman's words might prove true. Hanuman slipped down from the tree and bowed low before Sita with his joined palms raised above his head. I assume you are Sita, consort of the highly blessed Rama. I am an envoy dispatched by Ram to seek you, O noble lady. Along with his brother Lakshmana, Ram waits in grief for some news of your whereabouts. Sita felt overjoyed to hear of Ram, but she was still suspicious. What if this was Ravana? Nevertheless, upon seeing the monkeys, she was feeling a strange calm and peace of mind. She looked carefully at Hanuman and asked, "How can I know that you are not a Ravana?" Hanuman reassured her. He described the features of both Rama and Lakshmana in great detail, telling her everything he knew about the two princes. Hanuman then told her about himself and how he had come to meet with Rama. He spoke confidently. Now that I have found you, I will soon return to Ram. You will see your Lord arrive here before long, marching at the head of an unlimited number of powerful monkeys and bears. Hanuman showed her the ring Ram had given him. He handed it to Sita and she immediately recognized it. She was now convinced by Hanuman. Standing up in excitement, she felt unlimited joy. Her eyes shed tears of happiness and her face shone brightly. She praised Hanuman. You have achieved a great feat in crossing the wide ocean and entering this fortified city. O noble monkey, surely you are the foremost of Rama's servants. Sita wondered why Ram himself had not come here. Why had he not smashed the city of Lanka and taken her back? Was he still strong in mind and body? Was Lakshmana well? Sita questioned Hanuman eagerly, and the monkey replied, Ram does not know your exact whereabouts, O godly lady. But he was well and awaiting news of you. As soon as he hears my report, he will come here with his army and rid the world of Rakshasas. There can be no doubt whatsoever. Hanuman assured Sita that Ram was always thinking of her. Indeed, his mind was distracted by grief due to her separation. He could not eat properly and hardly slept. Ram sat for long periods gazing into the distance, sighing heavily. He would not even brush from his body gnats or mosquitoes, oblivious to everyone as he thought of Sita. From time to time he would call out her name and shed tears. Sita felt simultaneous joy and grief as she heard of her husband and his own grief for her. She sat lost in thought of Rama for some time, looking like the bright moon seen through a veil of clouds. The monkey's words were like nectar mixed with poison. She could not tolerate hearing of Ram's sorrow. Her beautiful eyelids with their long black lashes fluttered as she blinked away her tears. She spoke to Hanuman, who sat with his palms folded and head bowed. O valiant monkey, you must quickly bring Ram. Only a short time remains till the merciless Ravana will have me killed. The demon will not heed any good advice and is bent on bringing about his own destruction. Held as he is in the grip of death. Sita told Hanuman that she had heard how Ravana's brother and minister Vibhishana had repeatedly exhorted the demon king to return Sita. He and other wise Rakshasas warned Ravana that keeping Sita would result in the annihilation of the Rakshasas, but Ravana would not listen. Sita had heard this from Vibhishana's wife, who had befriended the princess. When he heard that Sita's life was threatened, Hanuman became alarmed. He spoke urgently, Let me take you from this place immediately. O princess of Mithila, you may climb upon my back and I shall leap across the sea with ease. Do not be fearful. I could easily carry the whole of Lanka, Ramana and all of. Therefore, mount upon my back and I shall transport you to Rama's presence this very day. Sita looked at Hanuman, who still appeared as a normal monkey less than half her size. She spoke in surprise, Your proposal is so quite monkey-like, O gallant one. How shall I even get on your back? Hanuman was piqued. This was the first time his strength and power had been questioned. Obviously, Sita was not aware of his abilities. He needed to give her a demonstration. Hanuman began to expand his body, growing up to a huge size. He looked down at Sita and said, I have the capacity to lift up the entire island with its hills, woodlands, lakes, city, defensive walls, and the very Lord of Lanka, Ravana himself. Be done with your hesitation, O princess, and allow me to carry you to Rama. Sita gazed up in amazement at Hanuman, who stood before her like a towny mountain. She was reassured of his ability, but was still doubtful about traveling on his back. She said, You are like the wind god himself, dear monkey. When you fly with great speed, it will be difficult for me to hold fast to you. The force of your flight will likely render me unconscious. I will then fall into the ocean, only to be devoured by fierce aquatics. Sita also feared that Hanuman would not be able to leave Lanka with her. The Rakshasas would spot them and give chase. They were capable of fighting in the air with powerful weapons, and Hanuman would be hard-pressed to retaliate as he flew with Sita on his back. Sita explained that there were still other reasons why she could not take up Hanuman's offer. I have vowed never to touch the body of a man other than Ram. I am already mortified due to being grasped by the sinful Ravana. I could not voluntarily touch another man, nor could I allow anyone other than Ram to rescue me. Therefore, thereby diminishing Ram's fame, I therefore prefer to wait for my Lord, confident that he will soon arrive. Hanuman nodded in assent to Sita's words. She was right. It would not be possible for her to cling to him while he flew swiftly back, and he respected her chastity, which was without comparison in the world. Resuming his normal size, he said, I shall now go back to Ram. Please give me some token so that he will know that I have actually met with you. Sita replied to him in a voice choked with tears, You may give him this token in the form of a message. Remind him of the time when we lived together on the Chitrakoot mountain and how I was once attacked by a crow and Ram gave me protection. Sita told Hanuman in detail about the incident. The crow in question was Indra's son, and he had wanted to witness Rama's prowess. He had attacked Sita, whereupon Ram had thrown a blade of grass at him, imbuing it with the power of the Brahmastra. The empowered grass had chased the crow across the universe and finally destroyed one of his eyes. Ram would remember that incident and know that only Sita could have recalled it. Hanuman asked if Sita had any message for Ram. The princess replied, You should report to Ram my wretched condition. Although I have the invisible Ram as my protector, I now appear like one forlorn. He should lose no time in rescuing me. He is capable of advancing against the entire hosts of gods and demons united together. What to speak of Ravana? Sita took from her cloth a brilliant celestial gem which she had used to decorate her hair. Handing the yellow jewel to Hanuman, she said, Give this gem to Ram and say to him, Even as Vishnu rescued the goddess Earth from the depths of the ocean, you should descend into the midst of the Rakshasas and save me. O monkey, deliver this message to my Lord Ram. Hanuman took the jewel and bowed low to Sita. It was time to leave, but he wanted first to test the Rakshas's strength. Now that he had actually penetrated into Lanka, he saw his opportunity. If he could incite the Rakshasas to fight with him, it would give him some idea of their force and power. And besides that, Hanuman wanted to do some damage to the demon forces before he left. Thinking in this way, Hanuman, still in a vast form, began ripping up the trees and bushes in the gardens. He tore down the walls and archways and hurled them into the ponds, moving like a tempest and roaring, all the while the Vanara created havoc in the grove. He took up a huge iron bar and he stood at the entrance to the garden, eagerly awaiting the arrival of Rakshasa troops. The inhabitants of Ravana's palace were terrified to hear Hanuman's roar. along with the crash of trees and the cries of frightened animals. The Rakshasas, who had been buried in sleep, woke up a start. They saw Hanuman standing at the gate of the garden like a towering hill. Some of them had already noticed that Sita was speaking to a monkey, and they questioned her about his identity. "How should I know anything about this wonderful being?" she replied. "You are the ones skilled in sorcery and magic. Why then can you not ascertain for yourselves the nature of this creature?" Some of the Rakshasas ran into fear to Ravana. They reported to him that the monkey had entirely destroyed the beautiful gardens, leaving only the large Simshapa tree under which Sita lay. Ravana flared up. His eyes blazed, and hot tears fell from them like drops of burning oil from a lamp. He thought for a moment, this attacker was probably a powerful emissary of the gods, even Vishnu. No one else would dare assail Lanka. Ravana ordered a select band of Rakshasa warriors, the Kinkaras, to capture Hanuman. 80,000 of them immediately gathered and left for the garden. The massive Rakshasas were endowed with extraordinary might, had large teeth, and held fierce weapons. They rushed into a body toward the Ashoka grove, keen to lay hold of Hanuman. Seeing the colossal monkey, they darted at him like moths toward a flame. They attacked Hanuman with their sharp-edged spears, maces, clubs, iron, pikes, and scimitars. Surrounding him and shouting loudly, waves of arrows sped toward Hanuman, rushing through the air and sounding like a roaring gale. Hanuman assumed an even larger form. He lashed the ground with his tail and uttered a great cry, "Victory to Ram and Lakshman! I am Hanuman, the son of the wind god, and I am here as Ram's servant. Not even 1,000 Ravanas can withstand me. I shall destroy Lanka and then return to my master." The Kinkaras were struck with fear upon seeing Hanuman's size and hearing his booming voice, which shook the earth. They closed in on him in thousands. Hanuman whirled the iron bar and began striking the demons down, bounding into the air and tearing through the Rakshasa ranks. Hanuman swiftly annihilated them. He moved like the wind and could hardly be seen by the Rakshasas. In a short time, they were virtually wiped out. A few of them survived and ran back to Ravana. The demon king became even more furious. He ordered one of his great generals, Jambumali, to attack Hanuman. The Rakshasa bowed to Ravana and went out for battle, clutching his golden bow. Jambumali mounted a chariot drawn by 100 tall steeds with the heads of fiends. He twagged his bowstring, making a sound like thunder, and roaring with anger, raced toward palace gardens. Meanwhile, Hanuman had been looking around to see what further destruction he could cause. He saw an enormous temple atop a great hill where the Rakshasas worshipped their guardian deity. He quickly climbed the hill and scaled the side of the temple, which appeared like the sheer face of a mountain. As he went up the wall of the temple, the effulgent Hanuman resembled the rising sun, repeatedly crying out, "Victory to Ram! Victory to Ram! Victory to Ram!" He began tearing down the buttresses and the large stone arches all around the temple. In minutes, he reduced the entire edifice to a pile of rubble. Hanuman leaped down from the hill and spotted Jambumali coming toward him. The demon was dressed in crimson robes with a garland of bright red flowers round his neck and a chaplet of red jewels on his head. Large gold earrings shone brilliantly from his blackish blue pointed ears. He roared loudly and fired 100 long shafts from his bow. Hanuman also roared. When he saw the demon, he stood joyfully in front of the bellowing Rakshasa Jambumali, pierced the monkey all over with his terrible arrows. With one large crescent-headed shaft, he struck Hanuman in the mouth, while with a number of barbed arrows, he hit him on his arms and legs. He had stained with blood. Hanuman looked like a large red lotus in the sky. He was infuriated, and he took up an immense boulder, hurling it with tremendous force at Jambumali. The demon laughed and instantly released 10 powerful arrows, which smashed the flying rock into fragments. Enraged Hanuman then uprooted a sal tree and whirled it about Jambumali, again shot his razor-sharp arrows and cut the trees to pieces. He continued to pierce Hanuman with more and more and more arrows. The monkey lost his patience and again took up the great iron rod with which he had slain the Kinkaras. With innumerable arrows sticking from his body, he rushed toward the demon. He bounded into the air and came down onto Jambumali's chariot, bringing the rod down onto his skull. Smashed by Hanuman, the demon's head was pressed into his body, which itself was crushed into a shapeless mass. The chariot was shattered and the demonic donkeys ran. Demonic donkeys ran here and there, bellowing in fear. Ravana was astounded to hear that Jambumali had been slain and dead. He again ordered 7 more of his generals to go out for battle. The Rakshasa warriors went out to meet Hanuman, shouting in joy, each of them eager to excel the others in battle. They mounted large chariots overlaid with golden armor and decked with banners and flags, rumbling like thunderclouds. The chariots rushed towards Hanuman. The demons were expert in the use of celestial weapons, and they began to release all kinds of missiles at the great monkey. Hanuman leaped into the sky and wheeled about with his arms and legs outstretched. He launched the arrows and missiles of the Rakshasas, who themselves rose in the sky, into the sky to fight him. As he sported with the Rakshasas, who each held a golden bow, Hanuman looked like the powerful wind god playing among thunderclouds with streaks of lightning. He whipped. He swept down upon the demons one by one, striking them with his hands and feet. Hanuman killed all of them, and they fell to the ground like mountains struck down by Indra's thunderbolt.